Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday. So we're going to be featuring another stitch pattern. So I am using my eye hook or 5.5mm hook, and you do not need a Tunisian hook to do this swatch. And I'm just using some number 4 worsted weight yarn. And to do this particular stitch pattern, you will need to chain a multiple of 4 and add 2. So why don't we chain 18, because 4 times 4 is 16, and you add 2 and it's 18. Alright, so I have my 18 chains here. So for row 1, that's going to be our setup row. We're going to work in the back bump of the chain, so I'm going to turn it over. And in the second bump from my hook, I'm going to pull up a loop, and I'm just going to continue to pull up loops all the way across. And I will have 18 loops on my hook. So Tunisian crochet, the rows are worked in 2 parts. So the first part of your row, often called your forward pass, you're putting your stitches on your hook, and then the second part of your row, often called the return pass, you're taking the stitches off. So if you've never done Tunisian crochet before, I do have a complete playlist that goes over the basics, and I also have other stitch patterns and patterns to make actual items like hats and things like that. So I will have that link in the description box, and you can check that out if you want to. Okay, so I have 18 loops on my hook. So whatever amount you chained, I chained 18, you will have that same amount on your hook before your return pass. So I chained 18, I have 18 loops on my hook. So let's work our return pass. So to do that, we're going to yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Okay, so there is row 1 complete. So now we're going to start row 2. This is row 2, we're going to work Tunisian knit. And we're going to continue to work Tunisian knit all the way across. So if you are not familiar with Tunisian knit stitch, that is in the playlist. It's one of the basic stitches that I think if you're interested in learning Tunisian crochet, so to be successful, I feel like you should know the 3 basic stitches would be Tunisian simple stitch, Tunisian knit stitch, and Tunisian purl stitch. So we're doing Tunisian knit, where you're working in that vertical bar and you're inserting your hook through it. Alright, and then that last stitch that looks like a chain, we're inserting our hook through there. So that is our forward pass for row 2. So we're going to yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Alright, so that is row 2. So let's begin row 3. So when you look at your Tunisian knit stitch, I'm going to grab a knitting needle as my pointer so you can see. So here is the vertical bar you normally work in, but when you kind of flatten it out a little bit, it looks like a chain. So we are actually going to insert our hook in this bar here behind it. And we're going to do it in this one as well. So we're going to be working a Tunisian together stitch in those 2 stitches, or decrease stitch. So to begin, we're going to do a yarn over first. Then we're going to work in that bar. So insert your hook in that one, and then the next one. And then yarn over and pull through. And we're going to do that all the way across. So we're going to yarn over. So it kind of helps to kind of spread it apart a little bit, and then you can see the stitch a little better. It almost looks like a chain. So we're going in that bar next to it, the one you would normally work in. It's kind of like in the back, and working that together stitch. So yarn over and pull up those stitches. And it's okay to kind of spread it apart with your fingers to do that. It's not going to hurt your work at all. Now just a heads up, this stitch pattern is a curler. It looks really cool, but it does like to curl. So if you wanted to use it in a project, I would suggest adding some purl stitches, and that will help with your curling situation. So if you wanted to use this, let's say for a blanket, then you would want to have some purl stitches on your as your border, because that will help with that. All right, so we're at the end. So in that stitch that looks like a chain, you insert your hook through there and pull up a loop. And now we're going to work these guys off like we normally do. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we have completed row 3. So row 4, we're going to work Tunisian simple stitch all the way across. So the next vertical bar, we're not going through, we're just going, inserting our hook in that bar and pulling up our loop all the way across. And at the end of each row before your return pass, you should still have the same amount of loops that you chained. So I have 18, so I will have 18 loops on my hook. Okay, so now I need to work my return pass. And again, you always work in that end stitch that looks like a chain. So yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row, for row 4 here. Okay, so we finished up row 4. So this one is a couple rows of a repeat, but it's not too bad. I think it looks really neat. Okay, so we finished row 4. So row 5, we are going to work Tunisian knit all the way across, just like we did for row 2. So inserting our hook through, pulling up loops all the way across for row 5. Okay, so there are all of my loops for row 5. So we're going to work our return pass like normal. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so let's begin row 6. So the first 2 stitches, we're going to work Tunisian, or that bar. So this is the knit stitch we made, so that not the normal Tunisian simple, we're going to work in that bar next to it. So we're going to do that with the first 2. So I'm just kind of, you see I just kind of pull them apart, then I can see that bar easily and work that stitch. So it's Tunisian simple, just in a different bar. So we did 2. So now we're going to do those together stitches again. So we're going to yarn over. So I'm spreading it apart, working in that bar. And then the next one, working that together stitch. But I'm doing the yarn over first because we are taking stitches away by doing the decrease. So we need to put the stitches back on because we want to have the same amount of stitches. So we're doing this until we have 3 stitches left. Alright, so we have 3 stitches left, so we're going to do what we did in the beginning. So we're going to work that bar here, and then the next one, and then we just work on the end there like we've been doing, and we should still have our 18 loops or whatever number you chained, and then you work your return pass like you normally would. Okay, so let's work row 7. Row 7 is going to be a Tunisian simple row. So that is repeating row 4. So we're just working Tunisian simple. Okay, so there we go. So we're going to work our return pass. We're going to yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of row 7 here. Okay, so then row 8 is a Tunisian knit row. We're going to work Tunisian knit all the way across. So then the repeat is going to be, you're going to be repeating rows 3 through 8 for however long you want your swatch, and you will end on a row 3. So I'm going to go do that. So again, row 8 is a knit row, and then just keep repeating rows 3 through 8. So I will meet you back when this is a bit longer. Okay, so here we go. I've worked 21 rows. You can see it's a really pretty stitch pattern. I think I really like it. And we needed to end on a row 3. So now we're going to do our bind off row. So we're just going to bind off in Tunisian simple. So in that first vertical bar, working the bind off. So if you are not familiar with bind off, that is basically just finishing off your project. I mean, you could leave it so it looks like that, but when you do the bind off, it gives it just a little bit more of a finished look. And I have bind off in the playlist. I do go into more detail about binding off, and a lot of times I like to bind off in patterns. So our next row would be a Tunisian simple row, so I am binding off in Tunisian simple all the way across here. It's a race against the battery. It's yelling at me. It's saying I'm going to die any minute. So I'm trying to finish up here before that happens. Will we make it? Alright, and then in that last stitch that looks like a chain, work that bind off. So there we go. There is that stitch pattern again. I'm really liking this one, and I made another swatch here. As you can see, it is a curler. That's the only drawback. I think this would make a really pretty hat pattern actually as well. So here it is. This swatch I worked using decate weight yarn, and I used an H hook or a 5mm hook. So just slightly thinner yarn and a slightly smaller hook. But again, it looks very pretty using that hook and yarn as well. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.